Hello again, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's edition, Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather on this second day of January 2020. And I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first here on the hazards weather graphic, we've got a blizzard and winter storm warning going here for, actually blizzard warning, St. Lawrence Island, Bering Strait coast, including Shishmaref, and also the northwest coast here, particularly Kivalina, and that's in effect for tonight and is due to end at 6 a.m. Friday morning. And so still looking for winds to gust 40, 60 miles an hour, blowing snow. Wouldn't look for much additional snow. It's going to be mostly what's already fallen, blowing to reduce visibilities to quarter mile or less, or in some cases even whiteout conditions. Again, overnight tonight, and even after midnight, things should start improving or see an upward trend in the conditions there. And for the yellow area here, that's mostly wind chill advisories for the gusty winds, especially through the passes of the Brooks Range here. And in some cases, winter weather advisory off to the east with blowing snow, reducing visibility to half a mile. And these are out for tonight and into tomorrow as well. And moving along, we've got a winter weather advisory now out for Kodiak Island, and that starts this evening and lasts overnight, possibly into tomorrow, at least into the early morning hours, for snow. And anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of snow will fall overnight tonight across areas of Kodiak Island. Probably won't hit the east side, Kodiak City State Airport, the Coast Guard Support Station. Probably won't see an increase in the snow until later this evening and overnight, but got the cold air coming around, and some of those snow squalls should start backing around, I think is what we're looking for, and coming in even on the east side. So moving along, we've got light showers scattered across the panhandle today with mostly cloudy skies and kind of a surge of moisture sliding on up with the jet stream here, and the bulk of that's staying down toward cutting across the Queen Charlotte Island, slipping on into British Columbia there. So that's with the jet is now south of the panhandle. So you're on the cold side of the jet, obviously, where it's kind of more showery and unsettled. That extends also along the North Gulf Coast here, where snow fell today. Last 12 hours, Cordova picked up about 2 inches of snow, and Yakutat had roughly about an inch of snow or so, with winds not all that much of a factor yet, but it looks like some outflow northerly winds begin to develop here over the next couple of days, especially like Copper River Delta, definitely for the northern panhandle there. Otherwise, northwest flow here, keeping the east side of Kodiak Island mostly dry, but some snow showers on down to the south there, especially here south, just south of Shelikof Strait. A lot of convection, cold air coming out over the warmer ocean water and making it very unstable, and expecting those snow showers to roll on in to Kodiak starting this evening. Cold air continues to pour southward out of the Arctic here through the Chukchi Sea, across the Chukchi Sea through the Bering Strait, St. Lawrence Island. Still kind of high in the winds, but not as high as yesterday. Starting in the south here, Nikolsky getting gusts 55 miles per hour out of the north-northwest, and Akun Island about 50 miles an hour for those wind gusts, lighter in Unalaska, and also lighter for the Alaska Peninsula there. But as you move up St. George, 3 p.m. this afternoon, seeing gusts just under 50 miles an hour there, and St. Paul Island, St. Lawrence Island looking, last observation, 40 to 45 miles an hour at Gamble there. But conditions, visibility ceilings have greatly improved. I believe they were about almost VFR there, and not the case for the Pribilofs there. Snow and blowing snow with snow squalls there on down into the Alaska Peninsula eastern Aleutians, and winds extending all the way up, about 55 mile an hour wind gusts today at Tin City, which is down considerably from yesterday's, but still pretty windy. And Kivalina, 50 mile an hour wind gusts as well there along the northwest coast. And that's down from the 70 mile an hour wind gusts you had early this morning. And rolling in satellite imagery again. See cloudiness up here, maybe some areas of light snow with that. The reason the winter weather advisory out in that area there for the southeastern Brooks Range, because some additional snow and the gusty winds. You can see the gradient definitely tightest here for the western Brooks Range along mountain areas, staying along the northwest coast, down across St. Lawrence Island. But a little more spread out here, but still seeing blowing snow, Pribilofs, and on down to the Bering Sea side of the western Alaska Peninsula with some snow around Unalaska. A little bit of a break there. Isolated snow showers ending for Adak and Atka. And the next front bringing southeast winds. We're gusting 40 miles an hour this afternoon with snow there at Shemya, and an area of light snow for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, mostly along the north slope there, cutting off in the Brooks Range. And some snow showers scattered around the panhandle. Water equivalents generally less than 1/10 of an inch in most areas. Some areas didn't see anything at all. And low pressure just south of the Queen Charlotte's there. Looking at tonight, is going to pull northward to the Queen Charlotte Islands. And some of this warm front moisture might slip on up and just catch Hyder and Stewart, possibly tonight, and the eastern Dixon Entrance marine area there. But generally looking at decreasing clouds to a certain extent here over the panhandle. Still some lingering light snow showers, Yakutat, Dolphin Cove, and maybe Haines, but mostly to your west there up into the Dawson-Burwash area. And then some light snow continuing up here in the northeast part of the, well, actually you could see some light snow showers north of the White Mountains, kind of becoming a little more widespread, but staying light, nothing heavy expected. But with the winds, winter weather advisories for there. And no new snow, but staying windy enough to keep the blizzard warning overnight tonight. Again, the northwest coast through the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island. Definitely snow, but you can see the gradient, a lot less wind, so winds diminishing considerably, noticeably for the Pribilof Islands. Even the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, Kodiak Island, here you can see the low kind of to the south. So they'll be circulating those snow squalls in from the east and southeast and kind of overrunning the colder air coming in from the northwest at the surface like today. So anyway, winter weather advice, look for possible 4 to 8 inches of snow in some areas of Kodiak Island over the next 12 hours or so. And moving along to tomorrow, Friday, low pressure, a little more organized here, looks a little more impressive there near the Queen Charlotte. So that probably pushed some moisture up into the southern panhandle. Otherwise, the pressure falls with this system, and the high up here over the Yukon, Northwest Territories, Kenzie River Delta, tightens the gradient up enough, looking at gale force northerlies for Lynn Canal, and outflow winds, north winds, pretty gusty here for the Coast Range, Copper River Delta. Otherwise, snow possible on the southern Kenai Peninsula, Kachemak Bay about the cutoff, maybe in the Prince William Sound, Cordova, much better chance of light snow than Valdez, and an area of snow, but a lot lighter on the winds out here to the west. Taking a look at the first day of the weekend, Saturday, clear, again, mostly clear over interior Alaska, cold, and winds definitely diminishing here, even on the northwest coast, and really coming down for the Bering Strait coast, St. Lawrence Island, looking at pretty light winds, maybe some low clouds and fog developing with the snow associated with this weak low, light snow staying south of the area there. Some of that could spill into the Pribilofs in the afternoon for a chance of snow. Snow showers link up, or a trough links snow showers up to the low center down here over the Atka area. And still a chance of snow showers, but quite light and a lot less than what you've seen, and definitely winds almost becoming light and variable here, especially over the Fox Islands. Northwest winds, that looks good for gusts, maybe 40 miles an hour there, Kodiak, and the windier, more channeled passes. And systems coming up bring snow. Looks like mostly snow, probably snowfall levels down all the way to sea level, even in toward Dixon Entrance, so whatever falls will be in the form of snow, if not with any elevation at all. At this point, it doesn't look too heavy, but the heaviest amounts will be over the central and southern areas. Out to the west, not a lot going on, just a couple of weak troughs, and not too bad as far as the conditions go. Lows tonight, 15 to 20, 22 below Arctic coast north slope, maybe a little closer to 30 below around Anatuvik. And Tanah Valley, 15 to 25 below, about sums it up, maybe around 30 below for the McGrath-Nikolai area. And the 0 degree isotherm all the way out here off the coast. St. Lawrence Island, -4, Koryuk, -7. Lower teens for the Pribilofs, 25 to 30 for the Aleutians. And in the 20s for the Panhandle. Highs tomorrow, 20s to lower 30s for the southeast coast. Below 0, north and west of the Alaska Range, right out to the coastline. Near 20 for the Pribilofs, upper 20s to mid-30s for the Aleutians. Cooling as you head up the Alaska Peninsula, single numbers to near 0 at King Salmon, 28 for Kodiak. Single numbers to lower teens here for southern Alaska, lower 20s out toward the coastline. Lows Saturday morning, well below zero, 25 to 35, maybe even 40 below for the North Slope there in some areas. And in the minus 20s to near 30 below in the central interior, still below zero all the way out to the coast and beyond. And teens, mid-teens to mid-20s for the Panhandle, 23 for Kodiak, and below zero, Kenai Peninsula, Anchorage, Madanuska, Susitna Valley. Highs climbing a little above zero. Here, single numbers for South Central Alaska. Cold below zero over the remainder interior part of the state, and near 20 over the, well, that's White Pass, near 20. Otherwise, for the southeast coast, most areas staying below freezing. Could see 34 down around Ketchikan, Metlakatla. Could see 34 at Sitka. Otherwise, staying below freezing there the entire day. And the Aleutians up above freezing, mid to upper 30s for the highs out in that area. Pribilof's lower 20s, 10 degrees warmer though at Unalaska with high near 33. Upper 20s the western Alaska Peninsula.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic here for Friday morning. We're looking at a narrow band of IFR just south of St. Lawrence Island. And off the southwest coast, there even west of Nunivak Island, marginal VFR, southeast Bering, eastern Bering Sea to the Pribilofs, and then some VFR from roughly Dutch Harbor on Alaska, Nikolsky on out to Atka, and then marginal VFR here spreading in toward Adak late tonight, early tomorrow, and a new batch IFR, that system slowly edging its way eastward over the western Aleutians. And for the southeast coast, it looks like some marginal VFR for the southern Panhandle to start, and then that's gone for the afternoon. So good VFR from Dixon Entrance all the way up across southern Alaska. Marginal conditions there, Trinity Islands up along the southwest coast, Nunivak Island now, and the Pribilofs. IFR, north side of the Alaska Peninsula, a little more widespread here, and farther to the west, just north of Unalaska Island, St. Lawrence Island, Bering Strait Coast, IFR. VFR, Arctic coast, marginal from the Brooks Range into the Selawik, Kobuk, Koyukuk, and upper Yukon valleys, down to about the White Mountains. And for Saturday morning, looking not bad over the interior, but still some areas of marginal VFR there over the central, west central interior. Across the Tanana Valley there, north of the Alaska Range, western Arctic coast, otherwise North Slope VFR. IFR through the Bering Strait coast there from roughly Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, and Kivalina, down across mostly Gamble, maybe Savunga to St. Lawrence Island. IFR persisting Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula, and just catching the east side of Kodiak Island, Pasagchak up to Chiniak and Marmot Bays, and the eastern North Gulf Coast across the Panhandle, good VFR. And for the afternoon, VFR here for the Panhandle. It looks like some marginal VFR though showing up along the eastern border. And IFR persisting here is just south of Prince William Sound, Montague Island in it though. But Kodiak, VFR, Cook Inlet, much interior Alaska for the afternoon Saturday looking really good. So marginal VFR central western Arctic coast and marginal VFR from the St. Lawrence Island area down to near just west of the Pribilofs and across the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. And marginal VFR out to the west, but no IFR here anywhere in the Bering Sea or the Aleutians. And for passes, Anatuvik, both Anatuvik and Adigan starting out a little marginal, becoming VFR later in the morning through the afternoon. And Lake Clark and Merrill, good VFR. In fact, Sealand's visibility is unlimited for rainy, windy, and probably Isabel as well. Mentasta, good VFR there. And Tanita, VFR, with Portage, wide open, VFR flying through the pass into the Sound. And Chilkoot and White, of course, VFR, could be a little turbulent there with the outflow winds there with the northeast wind flow. And for the freezing levels, cold air really off the chart here, 2,000 feet over the Queen Charlottes. That's a little farther north than it was today, which today down more closer to Vancouver Island. Tomorrow morning, a little farther to the north, but still south of the area at the surface along the coastline there, up to about Elfin Cove. Otherwise, doesn't return until you get out toward Amchitka and Kiska. And for icing, a little bit of possible leftover moisture here, just a threat of some areas of icing. Be light from the eastern Aleutians up into the Pribilof, central Bering Sea, maybe a little bit out there over the western Aleutians. Leftover moisture keeps a threat, slight chance of some icings there for the southern Kenai Peninsula, Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay. The heavy stuff, though, trying to slip up into the southern Panhandle, but the bulk of which will stay to the south or east of the area. And jet stream keeping that moisture in close there over the Queen Charlotte's, northerly flow over the Bering Sea, keeping the cold air in place out there, narrow ridging up over the Russian Far East. 9,000 feet, 25 to 30 knot winds around this low center just east of the Barren Islands, and pretty light there for the Panhandle, about 25 knots over that low just to your south. Northeast, 25 to 55 knots, strongest here along the northwest coast, and then 15 to 25 coming back from the northwest across the Alaska Peninsula, and not too strong out to the west. 3,000 feet, much the same pattern here, say 20 knots, western Aleutians, and then 15 to 30 knots, especially across the Alaska Peninsula and Unalaska Island. Northeast 25 to 35 there, Central Brooks Range. Up to 40 knots though, say Cape Lisburne, and 10 to 20 here along the North Gulf Coast, and 15 to maybe 25, strongest over the southern Panhandle. Turbulence, maybe some light to isolated moderate chop there. Moderate chop, outflow mechanical turbulence along the North Gulf Coast, Barren Islands to northeast Bristol Bay, and up along the northwest coast.
A few weeks back, I introduced the mnemonic, light on the right, it's going to get bright. You remember that? So if you go look at the moon early this week, you're going to see a waxing crescent on its way to first quarter this Friday. The crescent is my favorite phase, not just because it looks like you could lay back on it and gaze at the universe, but because of Earthshine. Earthshine is what faintly lights the moon from our side, so it looks like a giant bauble just hanging up there in the sky. You already know that sunlight reflects off the moon, causing phases, but sunlight also reflects off of the Earth. The reflective ability of a celestial body is called its albedo. The moon's albedo is 0.12, so it reflects about 12% of the light that falls on it. Earth's albedo depends on cloud cover, but it can be up to 0.35. Now you can go see the Earthshine lit moon and know why it looks like that while you keep looking up.
If you've been watching this series, you know that NASA has scientists posted all over the world studying Earth's frozen regions. We've got people exploring ice sheets, glaciers, permafrost, sea ice, snow, and even ice on other planets. But even our top scientists need a little backup sometimes.
Do you like going outside to do science?
Yeah,
Why?
because it's fun.
Yeah. What's your favorite part?
Frost tube.
Frost tube! Cool!
In this bonus episode of Cryosphere, we're following the micro-explorers that are helping NASA collect data from their own backyard.
Do you think it's going to be frozen?
Yeah.
Yes? Why?
Because it's very frozen!
Here's the idea. Students construct a frost tube that gets put into a hole in undisturbed and uncompacted soil. During the cold months, students will measure the depth at which water in the frost tube freezes, indicating that the surrounding soil has frozen. This is one of many citizen science projects facilitated by GLOBE, the Global Learning and Observations to Benefit the Environment program.
What's going on? What did you find out?
It's ice!
How far down is the ice? So is there still liquid in there?
It's a worldwide program that, so far, has collected over 130 million measurements from more than 10 million students in 113 countries.
Are you scientists?
Yeah.
These measurements are added to a massive worldwide database that's free and open to the public.
GLOBE connects my students with the rest of the world through science and looking at climate change and how it's affecting the future.
GLOBE teachers like Terry are transforming the way kids see science and how they'll respond to changes in their future environment.
Let me see your happy face. Ah!
Actually, we were so impressed with the kids of John Fredson School that we decided to show their work to the scientists in the original NASA Explorers Cryosphere series. And they had a couple things to say.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Oh my god. Do you like going outside to do science? Why?
Because it's fun.
How far down is the ice?
That's awesome.
Wow, this is really, really cool.
Hey students from Miss Terry's class, I just got to see your video. I was so impressed that you guys were braving the conditions of the snow and all the crazy stuff to go and learn more about the permafrost and where the water layer is right outside your school. That looked incredible.
It is so exciting to see you guys and girls doing such great work as we watch our planet change over time.
Hey there, young scientists. Looks like you guys are doing some amazing things. Remember to keep warm and take notes, and also stay curious.
Oh my God, this is awesome. I love seeing the enthusiasm of these kids. They're outside, it's obviously really cold, but everyone is so excited to be out there making measurements for NASA. That's wicked cool.
Because you're so right, science is so fun, and I really hope that you'll continue believing in that. The best piece of advice I ever got was, whatever you do, do your best.
And from all of us here at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, remember, dare mighty things.
So keep up the great work. Make sure that you're having fun no matter what. That's the key thing about pursuing a career in science. Make sure it's something that you love. And I'm really impressed. So hopefully we'll take the lessons you're learning and apply them when we explore our solar system.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the segment. Sea ice analysis today. Again, looking like kind of a normal winter sea ice coverage out here for the Bering Sea, at least a lot more normal than it did, say, going back a month or so ago. Anyway, winds will lighten up here over the Bering Sea, and so the advancement to the south and southwest that we've seen will probably be a lot slower, but continue for the next couple of days. Coastal water forecast, northeast winds tomorrow, 25 knots, small craft advisories, 10-foot seas there on the south coast, north 20 for Clarence Strait, northerlies at 20 knots for the remainder of the outer coastline here, central and north coast, and Lynn Canal, northerly gales, 35 knots, seas 7 feet, northeast 25 with 5-foot seas for Stevens Passage. And then on Saturday, we'll throw some gale force gusts here for Stevens Passage, right out of the east, but sustained at 20 knots. Clarence Strait southeast 15, seas only 3 feet, and come down to small craft advisories with the gradient relaxing a little bit there for Lynn Canal. Southwest 25 knot winds into Prince of Wales Island, northeast 15 there for the central coast, and then back around to the west on the north coast at 20 knots, and back to the east there near Yakutat at 15. And for Prince William Sound, north winds at 20 tomorrow, northeast 20 with 6-foot seas for the eastern North Gulf Coast. But as you head west, winds will be on the increase. Small craft advisories for 30-knot easterlies there for the western North Gulf Coast. Cook Inlet, north 25, small craft advisories here for the northern inlet, 7-foot seas. Full gales south of the Forelands at 40 knots, and those increase a little even more at 45 knots for Kamishak Bay, and 15-foot seas for southern Cook Inlet, 20-foot seas for Kamishak Bay. And moving on to Saturday, swing the winds around to the west, 30 knots, Kamishak Bay, lighter for Cook Inlet, north-northeast 15 to 20, northwest 25 for the Barren Islands, east 25 for the western North Gulf Coast. Otherwise, Prince William Sound and the eastern North Gulf Coast, northeast winds at 20 with seas up to 5 feet here out over the Pacific, and then the Sound about 3 feet. Kodiak Island, east 25 here for the Pacific side of the island. Otherwise, Shelikof Strait, a lot windier, northeast sustained 40 knots, 17-foot seas. And we've got northwest 25 knot winds here for the Alaska Peninsula. Small craft advisories for Bristol Bay, north 25, 6-foot seas, and 30 knot northwest winds there southwest of AKwx. And moving ahead to Saturday, same direction here across the peninsula, a little lighter. Northwest, 20-25 knots, highest winds on the Pacific side of the peninsula. Much lighter for Bristol Bay, north at 10 knots, seas down to 2 feet. And from Castle Cape all the way up and across all of Kodiak Island there, including Shelikof Strait, northwest 30 knots, seas 6 to 10 feet. And for the Fox Islands tomorrow, winds coming down to 20 to 25 knots, mostly around 20 knots, but seas 6 to 11 feet. Pretty light, laying down good for Adak and Atka out of the north at 15. East 20 knots over toward Amchitka Island. And then from Kiska on out to Shimia, that'll be southwest of 25 with that weak system out there. And then that system pretty much dissolves on Saturday. It won't be much, have any wind effect at all. North 15 for the western Aleutians, northeast 20 in from Kiska to toward Adak and Atka. Northeast 20 on the Bering Sea side of the islands, south 15 on the Pacific side. And we've got Unalaska Island, east winds 20 to 25 knots, and kind of variable at 15 there, northwest at 15, Bering Sea side of Unmak Island, and south at 15 there on the south side. And up to the southwest coast, a lot more uniform here, north at 20 for tomorrow, north 15 Pribilof, 30 knot winds for St. Matthew Island and St. Lawrence Island as well. And for Saturday, northeast 20 Norton Sound, northeast 25 there. Brisk wind advisory continues for St. Lawrence Island. Only 10 knots now along the Yukon Delta coast, but the Kuskokwim Delta coast north at 20. Light easterlies for the Pribilofs at 10 knots, northeast 20 for St. Matthew Island. Beaufort Sea on the east side here, northeast at 15, turning north at 15 Central Coast. Back to the northeast on the west side, Cape Beaufort to Cape Thompson, northeast 30 knots, and then on down to Wales will be more northerly at the same speed. And for Saturday, brisk wind advisories continue. Wales all the way up to Cape Beaufort, north to northeast at 30. Light winds here along all of the coastline, really getting light and variable on the east side. And for tonight, again, wind chill advisories are out for the windy areas here. Mostly the Brooks Range and the DeLong Mountains. Wind weather advisory, we throw a little snow in here on the east side. Blizzard warning tonight. Kivalina on down into the Bering Strait coast. And take a quick look at Saturday.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.